All right, so for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you how to hire a hitman online. As if I'm going to tell you that. What I will tell you is how to find out if there's a hit on you online. And if you want to reverse engineer that, I don't want to know anything about it. So as you might imagine, simply Googling Assassins Melbourne is unlikely to reveal any actual assassins. That's because if it was that easy to find one, it'd be that easy to catch one. So instead, you're going to have to head to something called the dark web. Now, the name sounds ominous, and rightly so for many reasons, but the dark web is simply another layer of the internet, the same internet you use to check Facebook or do your online banking. There are two main differences between the dark web and the regular internet, or what hackers call the clear net. And that is, one, these websites on the dark web aren't indexed by search engines. And number two, you need a special piece of software to access it. Those two things are enough to keep most people off of the dark web, but it's actually ridiculously easy to get onto it, as I'll show you in a minute. So what goes on in the dark web? Well, it's famous for things that are illegal and in some cases downright evil, but there's nothing inherently bad about the dark web. A lot of people who understand the technology see it as a model for how we should improve the regular internet in terms of privacy and encryption. The selling of drugs is definitely a big activity on the dark web. You guys might remember Silk Road from a few years ago. It got shut down in 2014. It's probably the most famous dark web website. It was a drug marketplace. Maybe counterintuitively, it's probably safer to buy drugs on the dark web than elsewhere, both in terms of the purity of the product and the behavior of the sellers. And that's because these online drug marketplaces work on reputation, like eBay. So you get some understanding of the seller's history. Now compare that to buying drugs off the street in Abbotsford. There's a lot of financial activity on the dark web. You can buy counterfeit money. You can launder money. You can buy, trade, and track bitcoins. Bitcoins are the currency that makes the dark web go around because they're anonymous for the most part. You can also buy hacking services. You can rent spam bots. You can buy illegal or stolen information like credit cards or email addresses. But as I mentioned, there are virtuous reasons to want to maintain your privacy online. So this is a screenshot of a dark web website. And these are some activists from the Middle East trying to organize themselves and stay anonymous. The dark web is used for hacktivism. It's used for whistleblowing. It's used for activism. So there's nothing inherently bad about it. All right, so to the topic at hand. How do you find out if there's a hit out on you online? The first thing you have to do is download Tor. Tor is a browser just like any other browser with one exception, or two exceptions. You can find it just by Googling it. You can install it. There's nothing bad or illegal about installing it. That's a screenshot of Tor. Like most things on the dark web, Tor looks like the regular internet, but just slightly shittier. And that's not a joke. All the websites look slightly shittier. Tor works by basically bouncing network requests around the internet, unlike the ClearNet. So each stage in that journey only knows about the next stage. So it's really hard to travel backwards to find out where it came from, which is why it's easier to stay anonymous online. Unsurprisingly, it was developed by these guys, US Navy. So now you have to find an entry point, because as I mentioned, dark web websites aren't indexed by search engines, so you can't go anywhere and just type in assassins and find it. You need to actually be able to follow links. So what you have to do is go to the regular internet and try to find an entry point. So that's a dark web website that'll list other dark web websites. And you can copy and paste one of those URLs into Tor. And now you're on the dark web. So what you have to do is follow the links until you find what you're looking for. So what are you looking for? You're looking for something called an assassination market. Now, that is what's called a prediction market. And basically what you can do is almost like gambling. You can take a punt on the date of something occurring. In this case, you're taking a punt on the date that somebody will die. And if you guess correctly, you get a big payout. But think about that. If you're the assassin, you don't have to guess. You know the date. So you get a big payout. Now, the elegance of this solution, for lack of a better word, is that the person who sets up the prediction market never has to meet the assassin or vice versa. They don't even know about each other. This is a screenshot of an actual assassination market. This poor guy had a bounty out on his head for 124 bitcoins, which is around $77,000 US. So what do you have to do now that you're in the assassination markets? You have to look for your name and face. Call 000 if you find it. End of story. Thanks.